What is up guys, Jarv here, back today jumping into Destiny 2. Now in our video today we're taking a look at a brand new post-patch Proving Grounds cheese. So if you're adamant on trying to cheese the boss in this week's Grandmaster Ordeal, I've got you and can show you how you can get in a similar spot. Massive shout out to Rick, Barksy, Alexis, Jay and Callus Edits. All 5 of those left a comment in my last Destiny video when it went live. If you want to get a shout out in my next Destiny video too, then be sure to leave a comment and rating down below. Now if you are new here and want to keep up to date with all the latest Destiny 2 content as well, then be sure to hit subscribe. But without further delay guys, let's jump into the video. Now upon this week's weekly reset, we got access to a brand new Grandmaster Ordeal. It came in the form of Proving Grounds, one of my personal favourites when it comes to strikes inside Destiny 2, especially with the additional challenge of Grandmaster Ordeals. Now this week you can farm the Adept Palindrome from this activity, but it is one of the hardest PvE activities currently available in the game, with very few teams even finishing it and many teams having great difficulty. With that in mind, cheesing this boss has become very popular, so much so that Bungie released a patch on April Fool's Day to try and prevent Guardians from jumping up on the top of the map. But I'm here to show you today that you can still in fact get into a very similar spot. Now an important thing to make absolutely clear is it does take quite a bit longer to get in this spot compared to the previous cheese. If you are adamant on getting in this spot though, then by following the route that I take, you can most definitely get in this spot and still damage the boss during the final phase. But as I said, it is a lot longer and slightly more difficult and can mainly only be done on either a Warlock or a Titan. So what you want to do is you want to work your way through the strike as you normally would until you get to the treadmill section. Upon clearing that section and prior to even attempting to stand on the lift to make your way to the final boss, you want to make your way over to the pistons, and there's a conveniently placed hole that allows us to get outside the map. And once outside the map, we're going to climb up on here on top of this section of the strike. Now the key part here is to locate a pipe. Now this particular pipe is high enough for us to actually get on top of this entire part of the strike. It means we can actually get higher up, which is what we'll need to do because we'll need to do a bit of climbing in order to reach Ignivan, who is the final boss encounter on this strike. Now having scaled our way to here, we need to make our way across this huge flat plain, again to these pipes that you can see in the distance. Once again, we're going to be using these pipes to help scale our way up the strike so we can reach the final boss encounter. It's absolutely key that no one triggers the elevator at this particular point, as if you are outside the map, you will get a joining alloys prompt and this will pull you back inside the map. Now here we're making our way out to the side of the tank, and it's here on the outside section we can actually scale the strike very efficiently. And once we are on top, we are slowly making our way towards the boss room. Now in the distance here you can see the leaves of Nessus which are moving, which represents the tank moving, which you can see in the final boss room. And once here we're going to Titan fly our way around this corner, and you'll see a very familiar section indeed. This is the final corridor prior to the final boss strike. Now here we still haven't triggered the checkpoint on the lift, but in fact once we are on this particular corridor we need to make our way to the boss room, and by spinning around you actually do trigger the checkpoint from the lift down below. You'll know you've done this successfully as you'll get the dialogue from Zavala prior to entering the final boss room. Now the final challenge here is to actually get on top of this corridor. I did use Thunder Crash in order to do this as a Titan. You can do this in more efficient ways, but I was just doing this purely for speed. So now we're on top of this corridor, we can make our way towards the final boss encounter, where this checkpoint is called Proving Grounds. Now unlike the previous cheese, we're going to jump on top of this entire section. Now there are a few invisible barriers that you can see that have been added, so with these in mind you won't be able to access exactly the same spot. But if we jump up here on top of the new invisible barrier, we want to make our way, and by crouching here on this upper section we can actually drop down inside the boss room. Now this is very reminiscent of one of the other cheese spots in the previous video. It's just a different way of accessing it. Now as I said at the beginning of the video, the time it takes to get here is much longer than the previous cheese, but you can get in a very similar spot. You can deal damage to any adds and Ignivan from here using any of your weapons and your abilities. Naturally I have Thunder Crash on right now, so I won't be able to use this particular super, but if you were using things like Tether or even Titan Hammers, then you could potentially throw those projectiles down at any adds or combatants in the arena. Now here we have 2 friends joining us in the strike. As you saw there, they came up in the lift, and this doesn't provide a joining allies prompt for you whilst in this position. From here though, they are able to trigger the encounter as they normally would by activating the Rite of Proving. Now from here you can play out the encounter as you normally would. You can receive a damage whilst being in this position. The benefit you have by being up here is having a clear line of sight of anything going on in the arena. So much so that if there are any projectiles heading your way, by simply jumping up in the air, you're able to leave the arena and therefore protecting yourself from any projectiles that might be heading your way. Now this will be a lot harder to achieve in Grandmaster. At least one member of your fire team will need to be down below in order to start the encounter. An Omnioculus Hunter who can be invisible pretty much most of the time is most likely your best bet if you're looking to try and pull this cheese off. And because of the time it takes to get there and the fact that only 2 members of your fire team really can be here at any one time, it has limited effectiveness but can still be pulled off. But when you take everything into consideration, it's probably quicker just to do the encounter the normal way. But if you are really struggling and you are adamant that you have to choose this encounter, then this is how you can still do it. So there we have it guys, a quick look at how you can still cheese the Proving Grounds Grandmaster Ordeal. And as always guys, be sure to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you still going to try and cheese this Grandmaster Ordeal, or are you going to try and do the encounter the intended way? And remember guys, if you do leave a comment and a rating in the first hour of this video going live, then you have a chance to get a shout out in my next Destiny 2 video. If you want to keep up to date with everything to do with Destiny 2, then you are in the right place already, and be sure to hit subscribe as well. I'm going to let the rest of the encounter play out for you guys, and I will catch you all again very soon.